sponsored by MPW Mocklink TV and Mocklink Internet, online at mpw.org. Each weekday morning, our local talk segment brings you the people who are helping move our community forward. Let's start the show.
Good morning, AM 860, FM 95.1, KWPC. I'm Jordan Davis. Thanks for joining us here for Moving Forward again this morning here on this October 11th. It's a Thursday. We are almost to Friday, and that is a bonus for me, is that it is almost the weekend. It's almost here. Well, we're excited to be here with you this morning. Again, Moving Forward brought to you by Muscatine Power and Water. Mocklink is always Muscatine's fastest internet, and gigabit speed is coming. Mocklink TV beats satellite and includes video and music streaming. New subscribers save big, even more when you bundle. Learn more at mpw.org. Again, I'm Jordan Davis. I'm joined in the studio this morning by Pastor Sharon Phillips. How are you this morning, Pastor Sharon?
I'm doing really good. Thank you.
Well, we're excited to have you in, as always. It's a pleasure to get to speak with you, and we're just going to open up the floor for you here this morning. Talk about, you've got a couple things you mentioned that you might want to let folks know about. 25 years, you said, Pearl City Outreach?
Yes. May 1st was 25 years for Pearl City Outreach. Very thankful.
Well, that's excellent. So can you tell us a little bit about Pearl City Outreach? Let's talk about what all it is that you do, where your funding comes from, that kind of stuff.
Well, it's a great controversy because we deal with so many types of people that come in there and eat. They can come in during the day. They can, if they're cold or if it's raining, whatever, they could just come in. A lot of times we start in the morning with elderly people, and most of these people, they only get between $11 and $22 a month in food stamps. So we had found out that a lot of them just spent their food stamps on ramen noodles and on macaroni and cheese, and that should not be so. So many of them start the morning by coming in. They like coming in. They get their coffee, they laugh, they talk, and then they get a hot breakfast. So we have served hot breakfasts now 5 days a week from 9 to 10, and anyone can come in. We don't make them fill out a paper to eat, and I'm not going to make any child feel ashamed to eat. Mm-hmm. So we let anyone come in, and then all day long we kind of have different things we have to offer. If somebody comes in through town or somebody is told by some place to come over there, they can eat, they can get something. A lot of times we'll have pizza that Little Caesars has donated, or Pizza Ranch, very thankful for that. And then 4 nights a week we have a hot supper. So during that supper time we'll have children come in, and just all walks of life, special needs, the people that are suffering from addiction, but all types of people. And it's become more than I ever thought and never realized it. And we have all volunteers. We have no paid staff. Even I volunteer my time to Jessica Faye's Closet and to the Pearl City Outreach. And wonderful people that came on board in Muscatine, Iowa, and said, I want to donate my time. Some of these people will hold 50 to 60 hours a week, and it's just unbelievable. They just want to help in the community. And so the biggest thing is right now is what we're dealing with is the drugs out there. Mm-hmm. And I think most people know that have a child that's suffering from it, or a dad or mom or grandpa or grandma, whatever. And what we had years ago is not the same as what we're having right now. The drugs out there are becoming a lot more dangerous. You know, you have different types of drugs that are become they're like bath salts, meth. You're dealing with Flakka that's come into Muscatine, and you also have some heroin and different opiates and prescription drug abuse. It's really sad. Some people sense hopelessness. I'd like to see this turned around, and so we get a lot of people that come in that don't even, their minds, they once had success, they once held jobs, and they got into the drug world. Nobody woke up one morning and said, I want to be a drug addict when I get older. And I'll have parents call me, and once their child was doing really good, and they'll say, no, my child's at home, my child won't go to school, my child's smoking pot now, my child won't get up, and they tell me all these things. And it's so important for people to realize not to give up on their children.
Right.
And these parents that have set wonderful examples, sooner or later that child will come around to be just like them. I believe in also the power of prayer. I'm a pastor, and in my earlier years, because I was in the hippie era, and I give my father a run for his money. He was a minister. He had a little poor church at 218 Mulberry called the Jesus Mission before I was even born. And him and my mother had the church, and my dad had to run it, fix everything, and he would go out and feed the people. And the people back then would be people on the railroad tracks. So a lot of times I went with him when he would take canned goods out there, and they were so grateful they'd cry. Or River Road was full of tents back then, and Dad would go out, in the snow and everything. And so but then I came to the time in my life where I got involved with drugs and alcohol, and I pretty much give that as a testimony. I tell people because I'm not going to hold anything back, but I struggled with it. I almost died off of it, and my mom and dad kept praying for me, and I would have rather had them hate me, but they kept praying for me, and I had a couple things happen that really, really woke me up, and when my life all turned around, all I wanted to do was to help someone else. And I was so touched how my dad would just, he wanted to get along with all the churches. And I remember saying to my dad one time, well, why are there so many churches and so many denominations? And Dad would say, well, honey, he said, everyone has a personality, and everyone has a right to the church of their choice. So I don't want the world to forget about the church still. And we have facilities that help people. We take people all the time to places. But if you look out there, really nobody talks about the church anymore, but there's like 50 churches in Muscatine. They're on every corner almost. And they're there to help you. And there's so many success stories by people that got involved with the church and obtained a relationship with the Lord and begin to see their life turned around. So we have wonderful churches, and I believe that the church world should get along to help other people so they want to come together. And we've taken people. One thing that irritates me is that we've taken people to facilities, committed them, people that are talking out of their heads, and they don't even know where they're at. You don't even know what they're going to be doing. We've seen it all. Doing ballet in the middle of the street, dancing, trying to take their clothes off. We've seen it all. I'm just being honest and real because people want reality. They say, this is what's going on, and I'm ready to lose my mind. And I don't care if you're rich, poor, or middle class. I've heard it from all of them. And they'll say, we don't know what to do with our son. We don't know what to do with our daughter. But number one is you can't give up on them. And there is help out there, no matter what. What's frustrating is that we've committed people, they get them in there, and just being openly honest, you're going to spend taxpayers' money of $20,000, whatever it's going to cost to keep them in, and then they're right back in our face again, and they're staring at us. There needs to be long-term facility. There needs to be more help. There needs to be something greater. Why they closed down all the hospitals that were treating mentally ill or those that have lost their minds. I believe they can gain it back. I believe they can. But the people that I know Muscatine because I was raised in it, and some of the people I knew that once had success, and I'm seeing them, and they're not even able to hold a conversation. This is reality, and we must face it, and we must stand strong to do something about it. We can't let go. This is America. We have enough resources. We can fix this. It can turn around, and people don't quit praying. And if you're someone that goes to church and you're praying, don't give up. And if you're somebody that works in a facility, in a hospital, and God bless them, and the police department, they've got to do this where they're helping everybody else in crime, and then they get called. They have to go get someone, and I've seen it many times, go out to the hospital, spend all this time out there, and there needs to be more. I truly believe that we need to see something else happen. I believe there needs to be facilities open to help people. My prayer is for Muscatine, we never have there were so many things that had to be done upstairs at Pearl City Outreach, but I'd like to have a 6 to 9 month program for women, and we're slowly working on it now because things have changed. Before there was so much that we were blocked because we had so many things to fix. But my goal would be to have a place there, and that would just be one little corner. But you take them to the hospital, you wait for a bed, and a lot of times there's no bed. The hospital, they get weary. They're trying to help. And sometimes you're dealing in the hospital with people that are screaming, cussing you out. And they don't even realize they're doing it because it's drug-induced. So there has to be an answer out there. Have I seen changes in people? Yes. Have I seen changes even at the outreach, even at the church? We have success stories where people turn their life around. And sometimes it's a combination where they go get help. They might go to New Horizons. They might go to Robert Young. And they just eventually, work that out. I do have a problem with prescription drug abuse and selling those drugs on the street because your Adderall is like meth and your heroin is like hydrocodone. And I feel like it's a street competition. And I believe if I had it my way, I'm always telling everybody I'd have health farms, a place where people could learn how to just be in a place where they could learn how to do things all over again. And I'm a strong person with the Word of God, and I'm going to stand behind that. But, things they could do. Like when I got off of drugs and alcohol, I learned how to crochet. I learned how to swim. I learned how to do, so many things. And I became so active in the church. And but when the church came back, because the church went down for quite a while with my father because my mother had a stroke and my father was working at the arsenal and trying to do everything. But during that time, when I began to grow and begin to be turned around in my life, it took a while. It took a while for my mind. And I knew that I wanted to help other people. But I also knew that if we were going to help other people, we needed to feed them. Because to me, when the Word of God says, I was hungry and you fed me, I was naked and you clothed me. I was sick and you visited, and I was in prison and you came. And the disciples said, when did you do that? And the Lord said, when you done it to the least of them, you done it unto me. So we can't throw people away, but we have to see them fixed. I do wish there was more facilities, but I always talk about a health farm that would be a place where they could fish and a therapy with animals and healthy eating and positive thinking, the Word, and being able to take an interest in history and different books. You'd be surprised what that would do. For me, one time of carrying on out there the way I did, and now I can go home and have peace. Most people, they're not asking for a brand new car or a house. They're saying, I need to get better. I need someone to help me. And we're losing people left and right because of the drug situation. And this is what we're running into more and more and more when we're at the outreach and you're trying to get people jobs. What I find out is that they'll help me, they'll volunteer, they may sweep a floor, mop, help load a truck, help some elderly person, but they can only do like 2 hours. Right. And then you lose them 3 hours. And we need to address this. And I'm hoping that there's somebody in political power that will begin to address this, because you cannot turn your head no more. There's parents out there that are crying, begging, what can be done? I put my child in a facility, they're back home 3 days later, and they're staring at me.
There's no long term.
There's no long term, and we need long-term care.
Absolutely. Well, Pastor Sharon Phillips, it's been a pleasure talking to you this morning. I'm sorry, I certainly don't want to cut you off. This is an interesting topic, and I'm sure a hard one to discuss, and one that maybe doesn't get focused on nearly as much as it should. But we do need to wind down here this morning. So we really appreciate you coming in and sharing with us. And you mentioned, real quick, there was an event coming up. Let's just give the date and time and stuff for that real quick.
Yes, that is October 20th, and it's from 4 to 6, and it's at Pearl City Outreach, and it's a time where we give away a lot of things for the children, and we have bounce houses and a lot of fun that day. And
excellent. Excellent. Well, we're excited for that. We hope that event goes well, and we really appreciate you coming in this morning.
Thank you so much for giving me time for community awareness.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Pastor Sharon Phillips, joining us this morning for Moving Forward. As always, brought to you by Muscatine Power and Water. Say hello to Mocklink Phone, your new local phone company. Fiber customers get it now. Switching is easy, and you can keep your old number. Learn more at mpw.org. Again, I'm Jordan Davis. This has been Moving Forward here on the voiceofmuscatine.com.